Pain. Almighty push.
I got broads in the London, did the V in the front, credit cards in the scams, ain't no lease in the front.
What is up, my MVPs? It's your girl Zbaby Slim, and I don't even gotta say I'm back with another video because you already know, you see it. But basically that video was too short, so I had to come back and drop another banger for y'all. So this is 3 bangers on a Wednesday, baby. This is 3 bangers on a Wednesday. What's gonna happen Thursday? Okay, yeah, what's gonna happen Thursday? Probably nothing, cause I'm gonna try. But it's probably gonna be 2 in 1. This video is probably gonna be longer than the 2 that we just up. So y'all already know, if y'all subscribe to my other channel, please unsubscribe for that channel because I don't have that channel no more because I do not have that account. I'm so mad that I don't. But Witness Entertainment, please go subscribe to him.
Wansee Entertainment.
This is his YouTube, and the video that I think the video that I'm watching is gonna be up there. But the other my videos that I did is gonna be up there. So yeah. So what we watching is The Weird Man in the Metro. Be careful when y'all riding the metro buses, because I know y'all little ones are riding the metro bus, and just be careful when y'all going to school. I know school is back in. When y'all go to school, y'all catch the metro bus or y'all walk. Just make sure you be aware of your surroundings and be careful. So let's get into the video. Hold up, it's an ad, y'all. I gotta give them the props. You know, they making this money. So, hold on, y'all. Let's start right now.
It happened when I was in 6th grade. I was on my way home by subway with my mom, and a man with a paper bag was standing in front of us. He kept staring at me and feeling burdened. I tried to ignore him by borrowing my mom's cell phone and watching YouTube. However, the man suddenly said,
"She looks a lot like my daughter."
I was surprised at first, but quickly relieved of my alertness since it seemed he has no dangerous intention. Mom replied, "Oh, thank you," and tried to stop talking to him, but he continued.
"My daughter is pretty too. She seems to be about the same age as my daughter, and you must be having a hard time taking the subway so late at night."
Then he handed us a paper bag he was holding and said,
"I baked some bread today. Give it to your daughter."
She refused many times, but he kept saying,
"You know, lots of the children are usually hungry at this time.
Or,
this is a really delicious one."
It's hard to ignore him when he's been recommending it not once or twice. So we were forced to take a paper bag and put it on my lap and waited to get to the next station we could get off. After a while, he talked to me again.
"Why aren't you eating?"
I didn't know what to do, so I said, "Oh, I just ate a lot, so I'm not hungry yet. I'll eat later." Then he asked me once again.
"I said, why aren't you eating?"
His facial expression was stiff and bizarre, so I still remember that moment vividly. I apologized politely and asked him inversely this time, "Why do you give me this bread instead of your daughter?" Then he replied,
"Oh, because I can't see my daughter anymore."
My mom, who was getting anxious, watched me quietly from the side and dragged me. "Sweetie, we're getting off soon, so we have to stand by the door." She took me to the closed door, and for 10 minutes before getting off, he kept looking at me. Just before we arrived at the station, he came to us and told like this,
"I gave you this. Why didn't you eat? Why? Why?"
We couldn't make a fuss while we were still in the subway, so we waited desperately to arrive at the station as soon as possible. Fortunately, we arrived at the station shortly after, and at that very moment, we left the subway as if we were running away. I thought about eating bread on our way home because of his favor. However, I was also a little suspicious that he tried to force me to eat it. so I ended up throwing it away eventually. The more I thought about it, the more creepy it was.
Like I said, be careful. Please. They say this is a true story, and if it is, that was the most scariest. I know it was like her heart dropped. Even though she was with her mother, her heart dropped. So, y'all be careful on the metro. So, because I used to ride the metro and stuff, and it used to be fun, you know? But at night, it used to get, like, weird and stuff, so y'all be careful. So, the next one is by the same person. Hide and Seek in a Wig Factory. Do not play Hide and Seek in a Wig Factory. Don't play Hide and Seek in a Wig Factory. That's all I gotta say. Don't do that. And from what I'm looking, it looked like it was in the dark. Looked like it was nighttime. So y'all just play Hide and Seek in the house with friends. Just do that. Why would you want to play in the Wig Factory? Let your mother get her hair done, okay? She whipped your back. But let's see. Yeah. So we started. The reason I say we started and I clicked just to. We're starting now.
It happened when I was 7 years old. There was a small wig factory in my neighborhood, and lots of hair was always rolling around in front of the factory. I could see lots of men and women busily carrying boxes into the car. In addition, mannequin heads were scattered around the factory, so I sometimes played with them, kicking like a soccer ball. However, at some point, the people who were busy working at the wig factory were not seen, and there were many days when the shutters were always closed. One day when I was walking by the factory with my mom, she looked at the closed factory and said, "They said wigs don't sell very well these days. I guess they're going to close the factory." A few days later, I was playing hide and seek with my friends in the neighborhood until dinner time. It was a long winter day, so it was already dark, and I, who was a tagger, couldn't find one of my friends. When I finally gave up, he showed up and said he was hiding in the wig factory. "How did you get in when the shutters were closed?" "When you go to the back of the door, there's a pile of boxes on the wall, and you can step on them and go in through the window. There was a shelf under the window, so you could step on it and come back out." I thought it was a good idea. And as soon as the next tagger was decided, I ran to the factory with one friend. It was very easy to step on the box and go inside, as he said. The moonlight came through the window so we could see inside the factory. Mannequin heads with wigs on them were lined on the shelves. Since they were all looking at the wall, we could only see the back of the mannequin's head. Now that I think about it, I would have been chilled to see all the black hairs, but it would have been no big deal for a 7-year-old who was just distracted by hide and seek. So me and my friend waited for the tagger, giggling with each other, but there was no sign of him when time went by. We eventually came out of the window again and decided to play one last game before going to dinner. I became a tagger again this time. After counting 10, I went around looking for my friends, and finally, the last 2 were left. I grinned and headed straight to the wig factory and shouted as I pushed my face through the window, "I won't be fooled twice. I know you're there, so get out of there." I went to the window to find friends who didn't answer. And then I felt something different from before. One of the heads of the mannequins, which were all looking at the wall, was looking at me. The moment I made eye contact with it, I felt like my whole body was electrocuted, and my heart dropped because the mannequin had a torso, unlike other mannequins. I was so surprised that I started screaming and crying, but no one came to see me, as if they didn't hear me. The mannequin was constantly shaking from side to side or moving little by little, spinning in place. When I came to my senses, I took the courage to come closer to it, and I could see its face was very pale and the eyes were unfocused. It was an old man. He was hanging from the ceiling on the pillar next to the shelf, and his face and his body were facing me as the rope turned. Being surprised, I immediately left the window and ran home crying. I told my parents all the truth as soon as I arrived, and they also reported to the police immediately, feeling serious. My dad, who went to the factory, kept comforting me in case I was terrified and shocked. However, I ended up suffering from what happened that day as a nightmare for a fairly long time. Later, according to the conversation of the elders in the neighborhood, the wig factory was suffering from financial difficulties, and the owner of the factory, who was in debt because of it, eventually closed the factory that day and hung himself. And a suicide note was also found nearby. The corpse I saw for the first time in my immature days gave me a mental trauma. And after that, I could no longer watch the scene that people hang themselves in movies or dramas, even now.
Why would you do that in the first place? See, if your friends play hide and go seek and they go into like because a lot of this happen, they go into like an abandoned store or an abandoned apartment, abandoned buildings. That doesn't mean you do it. That doesn't mean you do it. Because first, it's abandoned for a reason. When it's boarded up, it means do not come in. Basically what that means. But kids will be kids, so when you see a dead body, just don't cry, okay? Because you did it to yourself. I'm sorry, but it's true, because y'all just crazy these days. But like, put in the comments other videos y'all want me to do. I guess this is the last video for the day. I'm gonna edit all these 3 videos that I have to edit. Yeah. I will do another like rapper one, probably Thursday. So hope y'all like, subscribe, put in the comments other videos y'all want me to do. And yeah. Peace.